Hey, this is Sir Charles Carey. I want you to join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the TRU-MU podcast, True Music. That's where we talk about all things.
I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, producer, engineer.
All things creative.
Me and my co-host, Carl T. Smith, the smooth one, will be glad to hear you, glad to talk to you, answer your questions, and talk all things music. The TRU-MU podcast, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be part of the energy.
I can see that thing that makes men stop, stand still, all in denial, suffer loss of will.
Hey folks, we're back one more time. It's time for the TRU-MU podcast. That's true music, but we talk about all things creative, all things innovative, all things music, mainstream and indie. And I'm back with none other than the smooth one, Carl.
Peace.
Smith.
What's happening, man?
Live from New York City. It's not Saturday night, it's Tuesday, but he's still live.
From New York City, live. Yeah, here we go.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should have another show called From New York City Live, you know. But today, we get to have a conversation with another fellow entrepreneur, musician, vocalist, and he's been around the block quite a few times. And let's continue to learn about the importance of, you know, the creative elements of our lives as far as from an entrepreneur's perspective. And I'm not going to belabor the moment. I'm going to bring him up. His name is Kevin Petty. Kevin Petty. What's going on, Mr. Petty?
Hey, Sir Charles. How you doing?
Grateful, man. Grateful. Listen, man, thanks for being able to jump on the show. And
yes.
You know, we talk about all things creative, all things innovative, you know, music and things of that nature. So like a lot of shows, we start from the beginning. So now, are you a DC native or DMV native? How does that work?
Well, my family moved to DC in 1968. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey. You know, I was born in 1957 in Newark, New Jersey. And those first 10 years, I was in Newark. And my mom and my family was running from it was a riot in 1967 up here in Newark. My family was running from that riot and thought we was getting away by coming down here to D.C. and ran into another riot in 1968 with the Martin Luther King riot. So, you know, that's been the bulk of it.
Man, no wonder we get along, man. I didn't realize you was from the Tri-State. At least I didn't remember because I'm from Manhattan, from Harlem. So, you know.
Yeah.
And Mr. Carl T. Smith there, he's a Bronx native. So, you know, we get the
okay.
Tri-State.
Yes. Yeah, that's where I began, man, you know, at an early age, very early age, you know, with everything, with my downfall, you know, getting introduced to drugs at an early age.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, if you don't mind, like, when did that part start?
Oh, that's, you know, was built around my dream. My dream was always to be, you know, an R&B singer at some point, man. But it started for me, I was 8 years old. And 1965, you know, I got connected with, at that time it was a lot of, and y'all did it over there in New York also. We used to have all the talent shows. The talent shows was really, really big. You know what I mean? With the different groups, might be 100 groups by the time it's over with. You know what I mean? And so, and I got locked on with a group called the Car Stairs. A lot of them dudes had some of the members of the escorts with them. They was really good, man. You know what I mean? And a lot of them dudes either ended up in prison, you know, or strung out, you know. But that's where I started at, and they was just the best in the community. And I just remember watching my sister and my mom, and then when them dudes walk in the community, they just had some royalty about them, and it was just all about because they was winning all the talent shows, you know.
Was that
So it really,
quartets,
mhm.
quintets, all that?
Yes, with steps and all the rest of that.
Oh
And the
yeah.
one that the one that I got connected with, they were the best, you know, in the city, but all of them were young addicts themselves, you know.
So were you a teenager at that point?
Teenagers, they were. I was 8. You
Really?
know? Yeah. Yeah.
So, so if you were 8 years old, when did you
Uh,
first discover that? Or when did you first get the idea of wanting to sing and wanting to perform?
well, that started watching the my very first idol was Lil Anthony, you know, and I was very fond of
Frankie Lyman?
Frankie Valli, Frankie
Valley.
Lyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, these were the people that was like idols to me. And
Sure.
I remember when I was maybe about 6 years old, um, you know, just out of the blue. I think it was just it to me, I say that God has, you know, gave this to me from I may have been 6, and I organized 4 little guys from the neighborhood, and we convinced our moms and them to buy us these little neighborhood shirts and everything. And the little girl lived over the top of the bar. She had probably the only record player on the block. You know, she would play the song out the window, you know, whether it was Stevie Wonder or Temptations or any, and we just like Panama and had little steps, and people would drop by and drop money.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
people would drop by and drop money, you know what I mean? So I was stricken, and I might have been 6 years old at that time, you know. Yeah,
Man.
I remember my mom telling me I had to buy that shirt and I had to fight your father because I spent dinner money to buy you that shirt, but I can look on your face and see you wanted this, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when did you get, you know, from your perspective, you know, as a little boy, young man,
yeah.
confirmation that this is it. This is what I want to really do. Was it still at that same age, or were you a little bit older?
Yeah. I think more like maybe about 10. You know, from about 8 when I got introduced to the thing about the Costas where all them dudes would, you know, shot dope, you know, and smoke weed and you know, you know, I learned to do the same thing with them down there because I got a chance to hang out with them, you know,
Right.
and that was a privilege at the time, you know, nobody
Yeah.
could come. Yeah, nobody can come around, and especially when they down there learning their steps and you know, learning new songs and things like that. So it was just a privilege that I thought I had. I thought I would royalty, you know. And then the other part of it, you know, I mean, you got to think back in the neighborhood when you know, the kind of neighborhood that I lived in and on the block I lived in, it may not have been no more than about 5 to 10 TVs on the whole block.
Wow.
And when the Ed Sullivan show come on, it's gonna be somebody black on there, right?
You know you wanted to
Oh,
see that.
yeah, we all gathered around. You know, people are able to come up in your house. You got the TV in your household. A lot of folks would come, and I get a chance. And I watch a little Anthony do what he do, and I looked around at my sisters and my mom and them, and they melting. And I said, "Oh, okay, that's what I want to do, right? That's it right there. That's what I want to do, you know."
I remember
Uh,
we had a black and white TV in the living room, and when we got the first color TV, I think it was RCA. We had a Zenith black and white, and then
yeah,
when my parents got the color TV, oh, it was a big deal. They gave us the black and white, which you know, it worked okay, but that color
yeah,
TV, I was like, don't touch that TV.
yeah, yeah,
That was a
yeah.
big deal, man. I remember them
Oh
days.
man, that's what it
Wow.
was, man. You know, I think once I got introduced to that poison, between a fight between, you know, trying to be a thug and want to be entertainer at the same thing. It was a war going on. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
internal.
Inside me. Yes, yes, it was a war, you know, and the thug part, you know, won out a lot of times.
Mm. So
Yeah.
how long have you been clean now?
Oh, since June 15th, 1994. That's
Wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so
That was it.
congratulations. That's a
That was
milestone
it.
and achievement of achievements. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think I
sir.
came
God.
behind you around 1997 was my
Yeah,
beginning of the 180-degree shift. And,
yeah,
since so now, I have never, retread those steps. So, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
It's evil, man. You
oh,
know.
yeah. As they say, cunning, baffling, and insidious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
And it's a heck of a journey because I remember, even in the process of the transition, getting my life together, people in the rooms would tell me things like, "You ain't really clean, you ain't really clean," and I didn't understand what they were saying, and they were trying
Yeah.
to tell me because they felt I wasn't sharing from the heart, that I really
Right.
was going through the process. I really wasn't exposing and, as you would say, throwing up. I wasn't giving up the ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was, but at the same time, I'm a mind person. Even as a professional speaker, my whole thing is about mindset. And at the time, I was managing my mind through the process of getting clean,
Yes.
understanding myself, encounter groups. I was understanding who the real Charles was. But other people saw it as, nah, you ain't doing it right. You ain't doing it. And I was like, what do they mean? Why do they keep saying that?
It was about it was about the war that was going on inside them, and they was seeing it through you. You know.
Yeah, and
Uh,
honestly, I think that the path that God had for me wasn't following the necessarily the process that the
yeah.
12 steps hold as sacred. It was a little
Yeah.
different for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Me too. Me
so
too.
but I'm
I,
grateful.
I was able to just and mine's I think was more divine intervention with God, you know, because I had a early appetite for especially for the opioids, you know what I mean. I had a huge appetite for that at an early age, and I didn't know how to stop. And it was just that day, June
Yeah.
15th, 1994, and God gave me the will. I was in prison, right? Now I know I had to go to work, right? And all my routine was as soon as I get off, I come and take my shower and everything. I at least go have me a bag, and my works is right there, and I'm gonna do what I do. And I remember that day, and it was always the fear of not really having it. So everything I did outside of that to make sure that I had a bag for tomorrow, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
might do anything, right?
Right,
And
right, right.
I just remember that day saying, no, that's it, I'm done. Right. And didn't get sick, didn't get anything. That was
Yeah,
God.
that's divine intervention.
Yes, yes, yes. I didn't get sick of nothing. Yeah. Yeah, it never came. The same thing I was running from for all those years. You know, it never came. Almost 30 years. You
Man.
know, it never came, you know.
Now, as we fast forward, many, many years later, I remember, I forget how I initially met you, but when I invited you to the Starbucks in DC,
Hmm.
in Maryland on Donnell Drive, you brought the group. What was the name of
Yeah.
that?
That was the Amazing Gospel Souls.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, I think we hit every church in the DMV, man.
Some singing
We,
brothers. Y'all was holding it down.
yeah, yeah. And it was founded down in the prison, in Lawton Prison. Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah,
had y'all all gotten out before they closed the prison, or
yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah. I
okay,
think
cool.
I was one of the last ones to get out. I got out in 2009,
Gotcha.
August of 2009. And I was one of the last ones. You know, those guys was mainly out here living their lives and trying to survive. You know, and then I came out and said, "Oh no, remember what we talk about? Let's we gonna get together and try." So we was trying some things at that time. You know,
Well, I don't know. I hope I have to check my archives, my video archives. I just remember really being impressed, and it probably has something to do with because of course I forgot all the details today, but at the time I think I was really impressed with knowing where you guys came from and how you
Right.
were showing up, and it was impressive. It was good quality, and it was just
Yeah.
spiritual in nature, and I really appreciated the performance. But
Yeah.
you know, as it relates to music, do you have a preference, gospel over, secular over the non-secular music?
No, not really. And while down there, I think we recorded. We was the only ones that recorded our album down there. I think at the time we were selling them when we hooked up with you. At that time, we recorded an album in 1991, and today
Nice.
people are still buying it, right?
Hey, why
But we
not?
were, yeah, but we were the only ones down there. And it was a gospel album,
Hmm.
and it was contemporary gospel, right? And so it's like the same kind of stuff you see we doing today. It was doo-wop gospel, but we wrote it and it is nice. Next time we get together, I'm gonna bring you one.
All
So
right,
you,
bet you
you
that.
can you can check it out. So that's what we was promoting at the time that we see and we hit almost every church, that I could think of in the DMV. You
Okay.
know what I mean? But for a lot of those guys, that they wasn't looking to go that far.
I
They're like,
understand.
man, I'm willing to work. Me and my gal, I'm gonna sit my butt down, and I get that,
Yeah. Smooth one. You got something for us?
Mhm.
So, you did a lot of I'm gonna say touring the gospel circuit in the DMV area, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, cool. Have you done any other type of music other than gospel?
Yeah, I'm doing that now. Yeah.
What what you hitting on now?
Well, I just got hired by the Four Tops.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I was singing. I'm singing with a neo soul group called Cruise Control.
Mhm.
Um, and I was singing with Forever Soul. But they decided to go in another direction, and I wasn't trying to go down that road.
Mhm.
Um,
So
um,
so you're doing the Four Tops review, or you're doing the Four Tops with one of the original members?
well, there's no more original members,
Well,
Yeah, I
right?
leave fast.
Levy
And
passed,
there's
yeah.
actually two groups, but Otis is in charge of both of them. So I think they try to use one of them as if somebody gets sick over here, then you'll come over there. I gotta look at the little contract again to
Hmm.
see all of the things. But the manager is Otis Williams from the Temptations,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and so far with what they sent to me and what I know, that's probably one of the easiest gigs I'm gonna have. Mhm.
That's all good. What's your voice, Kevin?
Man, I go everything from tenor to bass.
Right on.
I did 3 shows with Devotion, the Earth, Wind and Fire Devotion band.
Okay.
So I was there, Philip Bailey, for about 3 shows, and with Forever Soul. So sometimes I did a lot of the tenor work, and then we play with the audience. If I step out in the audience and do a lot of tenor, I could easily switch to Barry White, right? And it trip people out do that. So how's he doing that? Just having a little fun though. Mm.
So, what is one of your biggest highlights or milestones as it relates to music? Would it be this gig now with the Four Tops, or was there a certain situation you could share with us?
Oh, by far the Four Tops, because you at my age, being able to from the era that I came from doing. Well, you can't do it the way my era did it, but it's a victory, and
Yeah. Okay.
you may not.
What's your number
Mhm.
two?
Number two is probably my nonprofit, and what it does for returning citizens and things like that. I think we did some great things the past 10 years that a transitional facility, and helped a lot of lives, man. Help fund a lot of folks and get them back, into the community. So, I'm pretty proud of that.
Are you able to, I
Mhm.
know that's a very serious initiative. Are you able to incorporate any music in the program or as a reward for people achieving certain things within the program? Is any kind of a consolation or anything like that?
With music.
Yeah. Are you able to segue the
No,
music?
this is to me. It was more about social engineering, and finding
Okay.
ways that I can be effective in my community,
Right.
and find like now I'm working on a new project and trying to for young men and women 16 to 30
Okay.
to try to get access to some of this commerce that's going on through the communities, right? With DoorDash, Amazon, and Walmart, and Uber
Okay.
Eats. These things are happening all over top of our kids' head, and so I want to teach them how to take advantage of it and build a system that they can work in,
Let them
right,
get
and
creative.
earn. Yeah, and they can earn money. They can earn $100, $200 a day if necessary. You know what I
Wow.
mean? But you're hustling, right?
Right.
And
Look,
and that and
that same hustle they use in the streets, use it for good
mhm.
or use it for
Yes,
a better purpose.
Right.
yes, yes.
No doubt.
So that's what I'm working on. I was writing the program and I was doing it the old fashioned way because that's the way I knew. I was doing it down prison like that when you ain't got but a tic tac typewriter and all the rest of that. And somebody introduced me to AI, and that was amazing. That was amazing. It shot me up front, you know.
Nice.
And I said, this is amazing here, so how I can articulate it, because the way I have it, I have to convince the government, right, to take a chance and pay some salaries for a year, all right. So and that's the way I'm looking at it for young people, that they'll be getting minimum wage, right, about $17.50 an hour here in DC. Plus, they can keep their earnings,
Nice.
as a thing. Yeah. So there's no excuse. You ain't got to go rob nobody. You ain't got to do none of that. You ain't got to go knock nobody's car, steal nobody's cars, or do none of that. You should be making enough money to do what it is. And I'm telling them, pay them weekly. Right?
Right.
Pay them weekly, minimum wage, $17.50, and let them make $200 a day,
Oh
a
man.
day. Yeah.
That's nothing to take lightly. I mean, I think that's a good
Yeah.
start or a good opportunity to say, wow, what else could I do? Maybe I could double this. If I could do this, I can do that.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
weekend for myself. See,
Yeah.
hopefully they had that type of mindset.
Yeah.
Well, we need a workshop leader or a keynote speaker. You know who to call, man. I got you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going to be needed, man. I think we sat back and watched what our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. They came and built for their community, and they built something real big. We see Trump and them trying to tear it down, but
Yeah.
what they built was really, really amazing. You're right, and they took care of their people. You know what I mean? As they came, opened up businesses,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and hired their people and put it. And I'm saying we need to take a page out of that book. You
Exactly.
know?
And we should have been doing it, to be honest with you, because
Yeah,
there's no excuse for it. If we look historically at our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation, the blueprint
Yeah.
is already, it's always been there. But
Yes.
we just always seem to want it easy. Now,
Yeah.
going back to the music, what was one of your biggest challenges or disappointments?
Challenges or disappointments in music?
Yeah.
Wow. Probably getting old.
You mean
You
because
know,
just because you wasn't a child prodigy, so you got an attitude?
yeah, 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 yeah. Because man, when I was young, I was fearless, man. I could hit ranges and things and do a lot of things, uh, and be high at the same time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
But at
yeah,
the same time, for me, that was one of my biggest challenges
yeah,
because I knew I had capabilities or
yeah,
ability of doing things. And I would always say,
mm,
okay, the reward will be I'll get high after the show. But then there would be times, okay, let's get high because we can ready to go on. And then
yeah.
you
That's
get
right.
high while you're on, and then,
Yeah,
after, then it's like you just jackpot yourself, you jackknifing your
yeah.
own success, your own
That's
ability.
right. That's
And
right.
I didn't think I didn't think about my health. I didn't think about
Yeah.
that I was putting strain on my vocal ability, agility, my confidence,
Yes.
and thank God I still have the mind to be able to write because people that do drugs, whatever drugs, it's a big chance you mess with your own, your machine,
That's right. That's
but
right.
I could always remember words, remember lyrics, create lyrics, make sense with melodies, and thank God that is something I've been able to hold on to this very day. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Me too. Me
Yeah, man.
too.
So now, when was the last time you've recorded any music?
Ooh, that's been a long time. That was actually 1991.
Okay, well, we
Actually,
trying to get you back
actually,
out
yeah. Al Johnson was one of our sponsors, right? He helped bring the studio down to Lawton Prison for us to record those songs, and
there.
it was,
Okay,
it was a fascinating piece because the prison was a little murky. They didn't know whether they loved us, they loved the opportunity, what was going to happen, but they didn't know whether it was legal or not legal. And so they finally relented and said, "Okay, y'all got these 4 hours right here." And the record company spent about 3 hours setting up in the
wow,
4 rooms. So we had about an hour to go through all those songs, and we didn't get no retakes.
wow,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
That's what I like it. No retake. It was straight through. And that was God, man.
So,
Because mhm.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, because when you look at groups from that perspective, and that's where I learned a lot down there because you know so prison is always a transit environment, right? And I had to make do, and sometimes I had to take people who wasn't singers and and try to transform them and be singers until a good one get off the bus somewhere. Come down there, right?
Right, right, right.
And God was just with me all the way. I was making all kind of magical things happen down there for the whole time, and so that was God's work, even all the way down to that recording. You're going to the studio and you get one take to go all the way through everything. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So it turned out beautiful.
What you got?
Yeah.
Smooth one. You got something?
So now that you're doing, the four talks and stuff like that, is there any group that you would like to also perform with? or join?
And join?
Well, sing along with or share a stage or.
Yeah, I mean, I'm opening now. I'm working with Dean and his 3 daughters, right? And something intriguing that he go, well, you know a lot about some of it. He's already showed, but working with him and trying to build something. His daughters, he got 3 daughters that sing and sound like the 3 Degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So that really piqued both of our minds. Said, "Wow, man, we can get out there and got female backgrounds behind you like this. What can I not do? You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean."
Yeah, share who Dean is.
Dean Kavanaugh is they say, yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the DC legends that's right now singing for the Intruders, one of the lead singers of the Intruders. And the Kavanaugh brothers, they were a famous gospel group out of DC, real famous. And he sang with the Platters and a lot of groups like that, and so yeah,
Okay, got you.
Yeah, that's good.
So he's been around the block a few times.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh
So
yeah, and it's fascinating to look at. You look at my generation. A bunch of old folks that don't want to go sit down nowhere. You know what I mean? It's a great audience for it right now.
yes.
Yeah. When I went to when I was the Philip Bailey for devotion, we did Leisure World up there in Montgomery County. Places like that, man. It was like we was like rock stars. Old folks was coming out. It wasn't playing. What I mean? And standing in front of you knew every word. Sang
Right.
along like that. Yeah, knew every word to every song. So.
That's all right.
Yeah, so it's an audience for it now, what I mean, because the baby boomers are, getting a little older. They don't have a lot of places to go and play. I play in all of it. The Neo Soul group, they got me singing Kevin Ross. I used to do Maxwell and D'Angelo and Ronald Isley and Frankie Beverly, a lot of little cuts like that when I was with them before.
Right.
Now they got me doing Kevin Ross, Neo. Neo got a nice little cutout.
The new joint.
Yeah, man.
That's nice.
Yeah. I told him, I said, yeah, I'll try that one. You know what I mean? And I'm really impressed with some of the young dudes like Raheem Devon and Jay Brown and
You like Lucky Day?
Lucky Day, yes. Yes. October, London.
Oh yeah.
Them young dudes are singing today, and that warms my heart. It wasn't too long ago people were marking the demise of R&B. So yeah, you can't tell these young folks today. They are singing, man.
Yeah.
They are singing today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it.
I was gonna ask you about being with the Four Tops or just having these opportunities with these tribute bands, it's probably a different view. But did you find it difficult getting hired, prior to the Four Tops, the tribute groups, as far as doing music?
Well, yeah, I always do. I do a lot of gospel stuff. I was just 2 weeks ago. I did a church in Silver Spring for Pastor Gray. I sang 3 songs for him up there. Last month, I did another service in a funeral last month. of a good friend. You
Mm,
know what I mean? So I'm always, it's in my DNA.
yeah,
Anytime it's hard for me to say no when it's time to sing. I don't care who it is. You
right,
know what I
right,
mean? If it's challenging, I've never done it before. Let's get it on. All you gotta do is show show me what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me hear what
right,
I'm supposed to be doing. I'm gonna give you something. You know?
right. So, do you consider yourself more of a group man, group singer, a band singer, or a solo singer?
I'm all that. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Is that
yeah,
you always find work that way?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm all that, man. Um, it don't matter. I think the only thing, like the group that I'm with, one of the groups that I'm with today, uh, they don't get together and artfully strategize like they're supposed to. And
Uh-huh.
even when me and Dean was with Forever Soul, they was like that too. They didn't really want to get together and work. I'm one of those that, especially with the competition. You know, if you know the owners of Bethesda Blues and the Birchmere and all the little places like that, um, through the little you need to find out what promoters that they uh, 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 that they
Work with.
like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and find out, find out the key what it is.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself. Because all those folks care about, at least once a month. If you can guarantee that you can get 200 people up in here, so I can sell drinks and
Mhm.
food. You understand what I'm saying? You got it,
Right.
right? Yeah, you
Right.
got it. It's as simple as that. It ain't no more complicated than that. You know.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. So when
And
you was
and mm,
good.
go ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah. And so when you building that culture, what I mean, I'm telling them, I was telling Forever Soul and them, hey, this is what you in the game for, you know. I you know, I ain't unless you just want to, be known as karaoke performers and things on that level, then that's fun. If you having fun doing that, then God bless you. Don't do your thing. That's not where I'm at. I always want to compete. It got to be worth my time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I find that it's kind of a twofold. I look at it like the songs and the groups and artists that I grew up liking in our age group, people want to hear that music, but at the same
yeah,
time, there's still more to me. There's still more
yeah,
to what makes Sir Charles Carey. And that's
yeah.
why I write my own stuff because
No.
Philip Bailey, someone said this to me a long time ago, and I never forgot it. If two of us are the same, one of us is not
Mm.
needed, you know.
That's right. That's
And
right.
the reality is, I've gotten the accolades for singing a song that sound like the record and all that, and I like it. I enjoy it, but
Yeah.
I really like to be able to use my own artistry to get
Hmm.
out there, which is why I write my music. I record my music. I do the music videos. I push and promote. Probably need to push and promote a little harder, but I'm always going to write. I'm always going to write.
Right.
Some music,
Right.
always be willing to perform because I'm just a sucker for it. I can't help myself.
Right.
I, I just can't help myself. What you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl.
So okay. So we do you play an instrument?
I wish I did, man. I wish I had the discipline for it. I think it's over with now. My favorite instrument was always the bass, you know, but I was always had a very good eye and ear for orchestration, whether I could play the instruments or not, right?
Mhm.
And that was my biggest gift, you know. Uh, the chord progressions and all the rest of that kind of stuff. I understand it fully well,
Mhm.
but it's all in my ear,
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's in my ear. I hear that. I say, yep, no, you need to do this, right?
Mm.
And, and so fun. And I learned that, you know, down in that you know, in captivity, because you know, it was such a great training ground because there really wasn't a whole lot more to do.
Mm.
So we was able to practice 7 days a week. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I came home, you know, it was like, come on, y'all. You know, I still had it, and they looking at me like I'm crazy. No, we ain't doing that. We'll
I get it.
practice. Yeah, we'll practice
I get
once
it.
a week. Yeah.
Because when
You know?
one of my first bands, man, we would rehearse. Now you know the weekend is your time to do everything, anything. We
Right,
would
right.
rehearse from 2 to 8 every Saturday and Sunday. I'm talking about with Ronnie Carl. Every
Mm.
Saturday from 2 to 8, we would rehearse. And we did a lot of other stuff in that time space, but
Yeah.
every Saturday we were showing up. Now, some guys didn't get tired, some guys had excuses, some guys had reasons. If anybody was going to be there, I was going to be there. And
Yeah.
you know, it's just a part of what makes me who I am, you know,
Yeah.
music, and
Yeah.
the ability to be around music. Like when I go to the studio, for example, it's a
Yeah.
feeling that I sometimes can't put words to, being around the console and hearing creatives come up with different ideas for changes and progressions and, you know, different
Yeah.
little nuances in a song. Is like, man, you know, I don't know who I would be without it. In fact, I remember when this is going back some time when I got married and relocated down here. I
Uh-huh.
stopped singing because I was clean, you know, getting a new
Yeah.
lease on life, looking at life through a different lens, and I
Yeah.
was doing music. And so, you know, I got a little network marketing, and you know, okay, that's okay. And I liked it and learned a lot from it, but there was still an emptiness within me until this young lady, she said, "Oh, you looking to do something else?" I said, "Yeah, listen, I just miss music." She took me down to the Westminster, you know, in Southwest, and
Mm-hmm.
to Westminster Presbyterian Church every Friday night jazz. I
Well, it sure is. Yeah.
with Dick Smith in them, you know, man.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can sing on the intermission.
Yeah.
Whoa, I came alive. I came,
Yeah.
whatever songs I could learn, I would sing, man. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and that led to me being reintroduced or reintroducing myself to music. Where if you look now in my studio, I get nothing but music equipment and
Yeah.
computers and all this stuff because this is where I spend my time because this means so much to me, man. It
That's
just
right. That's right.
I can't help myself, you know.
Mhm.
In fact, I don't want to
Yeah.
help myself. So we come to well, first before no, I'll do this first. We got a segment of the show where we do a thumbs up and a thumbs down, and we ask you about different artists. If you like the artist, you give a thumbs up. If you don't, you just give a thumbs down. We talk about all genres, and I'm not, you know, it's funny. I grew up singing gospel. All my family sang in church, but I never felt that gospel was my forte. So
Right.
unfortunately, we're gonna deal with all the other genres except for country western. Even though country western is good, um, when it comes to soul and R&B, whether it's the old soul and R&B, I'll throw up a name and you just give that thumbs up or that thumbs down. MFSB out of
From
Philadelphia.
Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Philly. Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
TSOP, the Sound of Philadelphia. That's another orchestra
Yeah.
they had.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. What about Guy? Eddie
Hmm.
Riley's Guy.
And what is the category?
Soul and R&B.
No, no. I mean,
Oh, they were doing like New Jack Swing. They introduced New
yeah.
Jack.
I remember everything about it with Teddy Riley and So no. What would you ask me about him? Whether?
A thumbs up or a thumbs down. Did you like
Oh,
their?
okay. Did I like them? Is there anything in the middle?
Sideways.
Yeah, you can go
Okay.
sideways.
Yeah.
All right. So what about Blackstreet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I like them more honestly, but that first album with Guy was pretty hot though. Must admit.
It was.
After 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's change over to Blue Eyed Soul.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember George Michael.
Yep.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay.
Down.
Gotcha. What about Michael McDonald?
Up.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, let's get some females, man. Do you know Coco Jones? She's the girl that's in the new.
I'm
Fresh
just learning. Yeah, I'm just learning about Coco. She's new.
Yeah, I think her dad was a basketball player, and I forget what her mom did.
Yeah.
Or
I haven't listened to her music that much though, to really have an opinion on it.
okay. What about Ari Lennox?
Love her.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, okay. Let's look at some producers.
Mm.
Missy Elliott. I mean, she's an artist as well, but
Right. But she's I don't know too much about her work.
okay.
Yeah.
What about Timberland?
Yeah. They was partners, right?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say they was almost 2 peas in a pod. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all good. So now, tell us about this show coming up on July 26th.
July 26th.
July 26th. Let me see if I can find. I had an image before.
At the Elks Lodge.
Yeah, man.
Well, this is for a variety of reasons. Yeah, is that it right there?
Yes, sir. Shade of Times Band, a tribute to the Whispers.
Yeah. So yeah. That's the one that Joe beat me up about, you know.
Okay.
Boy, he picked all of the whisper songs that blows my tops, you know. But I've been working on them, you know. And I think the biggest thing about it is, for me, has very little to do with the songs and more to do with why I'm doing this. You know,
Okay.
this is his last hurrah,
Gotcha.
and he's struggling with health issues and a whole lot of things on that level. And you know, I just want somebody to treat me like that, because you know, one of these days, I could see myself in the same predicament, and I hope somebody come to my rescue like that. You know?
But you know what they say. It's like if you have the Wizards playing against the Lakers, right? Now on paper, ain't nothing the Wizards can do with the Lakers on paper. But when they play the Lakers, their level of professionalism, their skill set rises just because you're playing with someone that's exhibiting that skill set. And I'm looking at, you know, it was just funny how this fell in my lap because, you know, outside of you, I didn't know Dean, I didn't know Joe.
Right.
But music director Chuck, he called me, and
Mhm.
Chuck ain't never heard me sing a lick.
You're
Never.
right. Okay.
So because we met in a place where, you know, I express what I do and everything, but and you talk about divine intervention, I guess God made people see me a certain way, and how I walk and how I present myself. I'm also that helps the vision, helps them see me a certain way. Um,
Mhm.
and but the thing about it is that it happens to be my favorite group is the Whispers. I mean, I take them over the Temptations and any other group because when I first heard the Whispers, I think it was all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like,
Let's go.
who
Let's
is
go.
that?
Yeah.
I wasn't even
Yeah.
driving, but I saw myself in the car. The breeze was going, the top was down. You know, you have a special kind of sex appeal.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
right.
man, that was fly. Then Olivia. Oh, and then I said,
Yeah.
hold up, there's this other song called Chocolate Girl. I was all
Yeah.
in, and that was from then. I've been a Whispers fan, you know.
Yeah. Me
So
too.
Chuck told me about this opportunity, and he said it's a tribute to the Whispers. I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing about the fact that that's my favorite group. I'm just gonna get the
Yeah.
information and then take it one step at a time.
Oh man. I'm
Man,
glad you told me because you could help me out some on some
oh
of that stuff.
man, heck yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was looking for that today. I said, I gotta find out what Charles could, which one or two of these jokers Charles could swap with me or something
I'll
or
take Chocolate Girl
share.
in a heartbeat, man. But
Yeah.
there's quite a few that I could share. You know, I don't have to
Right.
have the whole song. I could, you know, we could share
Because
some
I
lead.
think the whole thing is on us three, right?
Yeah,
He's not gonna have a note,
I
but
understand.
he don't have to have one. You know,
Right.
we just have to carry him, right?
Yep.
And so, you know, it's my job to, you know, and all of our job to just, you know, do the songs and let him do what he do on top of them. You know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
That's it. He can
Yeah.
weave in and out as he
Yeah.
please.
As he please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it is.
Are you a Whispers fan, Carl?
All of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whisper, Temptations. Oh yeah, all of them.
Wow. Have you ever
Yeah.
performed any of those, like, you know, over your years performing?
A lot of them. Sure did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to send you a bus ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
I
them.
know the brother from Bloodstone, one that just recently died,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
and they was looking for a tenor, and the person that contacted me was somebody that I don't trust too much, right? And I thought that it was, and they said they was looking to try to contact me because they wanted somebody to replace after that brother had died, and I missed it. But
Oh, wow.
they end up getting the best, like
Really?
getting yeah, they got the brother Kevin
Kevin
from
Owens?
yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Heck
So I said,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
You
I was
got that
hoping they
knowledge.
wasn't. Yeah, yeah. I was hoping they wasn't gonna do no competition or nothing like that. I was like, yeah, no. He would have had that job. You
Oh,
know.
yeah. After he left Luther and went to the Moments,
Yeah,
his star started rising.
yeah. He sounded pretty good doing that. But I don't see what they're doing anymore. You know, gigs. That's another thing. You got to look at the contracts that they have. Otis got some fascinating contract. He got his lowest person on that stage get somewhere between 38 and $4,000 per show, right? And
Sign me up.
and they guaranteed 68 shows.
Ooh wee! Gonna wear
That's a
you out.
job, man. Yeah. Guaranteed 68 shows, you know.
Hope you love singing.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at him.
I ain't mad either. That is beautiful, man. And
Today,
to see them still doing that, Otis still doing that, man. And he bringing young people along. You know, that's the lead singer he got now, Tony Grant. That's a very good friend of mine. You know,
I like
yeah,
that.
and
I like him,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Tony is a very good friend of mine, and Tony really deserved that because I knew some other stuff that was he was fighting. He was singing with all those different plays that Tyler Perry and them had.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how he was making his money, and it wasn't coming out right. He was struggling.
I,
you he ain't struggling no more. No.
I understand. Look, look, I told you, man. I like working.
Yeah.
I won't say any opportunity, but I'm always open to getting it in. Get in where I fit in.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if look, I'll be the MC if I need to. It's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm not a comedian, but if I have to, I'll tell a joke. That'll be my opening joke right there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out. I'm Sir Charles Carey. We have got a great show tonight. Shoot, I tell you.
Yeah.
Carl, what you got, man?
Well, I mean, you have so any no ambition to get into the studio and come up with anything of your own?
Oh yeah, I probably would have done it by now. I even put Logic Pro on my little Apple over there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, right. But I've been too lazy. I need to be motivated.
All right, next time I go to the studio, I'm gonna call you.
Yeah, I need to be motivated a little bit, to get involved. Like I worked for a group right up here in Mount Rainier. This was at the same time I was working in Salvation Army as a substance abuse counselor. I was their vocal director. It's called Forever Young Music Group.
Okay.
And they had about 8 acts up there in Mount Rainier. Had good acts too, man. They had a boy group. It was my job to train them, on the vocal side. And they was raw, they was really, really raw. But they had some other great acts there. That was doing some things. Something about the owner is that he was on a Barry Gordy trip, and when we got together, that's what he do. He sit there, drink. You had people like Tony Reds and Den Den and them all. He had all of the radio station disc jockeys was on the team.
Okay.
Okay. So it was a matter of, and he got a beautiful studio right there in Brentwood, right down the street. There's a house that he turned into a beautiful studio. Right, he had all the pieces in place, and I think everything started unraveling because he had some very, very talented acts that needed to push. Right, Santino Rose, and those guys like that. It was really, really good, and he had this vision that the only thing that was selling was the boy band. And I'm trying to tell them that their talent not like that. They could dance, right?
Right.
They could dance. They could dance their butt off, man. You know what I mean? But the vocal, I'm sitting there telling you, they can't carry no mate for you to put all your other acts on hold.
Right.
And try to put all your resources behind that one group. And that's what broke it up. It really did.
Yeah, that's a shame because having one element of a performance is it's not going to carry the whole thing. Even though the dancing and that's the stage presence that's important, very important.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the music, the singing, it's almost like a moot point. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to. They had them dancing so powerful. I remember I took them to the halftime for the Wizards down there. Wizards was playing somebody, and they was part of the halftime show on the floor. And if I ain't had those tracks there, boy, it would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster.
So the track saved the day, huh?
Yes, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, look, I just want to take this time just to say thanks for coming on, and thanks for sharing
sir.
your message and your story.
I appreciate it.
Any comments, please feel free to post your comments even after the fact. Myself or Kevin will, or Carl will even respond to your comments. You know, if you have questions about the music, the Four Tops, you know, the upcoming show, July 26th, the Kevin and I will be on this program with the Chain of Times Band. Please feel free to contact us or make your comments. In fact, I just got a call from Joe the other day telling me he met somebody that said they knew me, and I couldn't figure out who he was talking about. I finally figured it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Former coworker. I guess he mentioned me, and she said she knows me. So we'll be performing at the Elks Lodge in Temple Hills, Maryland, July 26th. And you can call. I can't even see. I have my glasses on, but the print is so small I can't even see. Contact Joe Cheney at 240-838-6231 regarding tickets. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a great time. 7 to 11. Again, that's the Chain of Times Band, a tribute to the Whispers. So if you like Chocolate Girl and Olivia and all those types of songs, this is a perfect show for you, and you can get it directly. See, any other comments? Any closing comments, Kevin?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, the platform that you brothers are building there. Allow me to be a part of it is really, really special. I thank you.
You bet. You bet. Smooth one. Anything?
It was great, great meeting you.
Yes, sir.
Wish you all the best.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully get to see you soon.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, folks, remember, be part of the energy.
Yeah.